Blake Lively sat in that deposition chair, looking the lawyers dead in the eye while swearing she never asked Sony to destroy a single frame of footage. She believed the digital trail was dead and buried, and she assumed her status as Hollywood royalty made her untouchable. But the moment those words left her lips, she committed the one act that could bring her entire empire down. It was a calculated gamble that backfired the second Justin Baldoni's team produced the receipts. The silence in that room wasn't just awkward. It was the sound of a carefully crafted reputation shattering into a million pieces. The golden girl of the box office had just walked into a trap of her own making. The smoking gun arrived in the form of a leaked email from Ange Giannetti, the marketing president of Sony Pictures. The message was chillingly direct, sent to the head of the motion picture group with a sense of urgency that didn't match the project's scale. "Call me when you can," it read, followed by the request that would change everything. "Blake is asking us to destroy some of the dailies." This wasn't a standard edit or a creative tweak. This was a request to wipe raw history from the server. For a veteran executive like Giannetti, this was unprecedented. She had never been asked to incinerate footage from a film that didn't even have sensitive or nude scenes. In the film industry, dailies are the holy grail of truth because they capture every unscripted moment and every interaction between takes. By asking Sony and every third-party vendor to delete these files, Blake wasn't just editing a movie, she was allegedly attempting to erase evidence. She wanted the truth incinerated before anyone could see what actually happened on the set of It Ends With Us. Her team had seen private texts from Justin's PR specialist and realized a counterattack was coming. To win the war of public opinion, she needed to eliminate any video that could prove Justin Baldoni was innocent. She wanted a total digital blackout, but she was already too late. What Blake didn't realize was that Justin Baldoni and his company, Wayfarer Studios, were 10 steps ahead. They didn't just rely on the studio's servers, they had their own backup copies of every single second shot on that set. Every frame, every audio clip, and every behind-the-scenes whisper was preserved in a secondary location. While Blake was busy trying to pull the plug at Sony, Justin was sitting on a mountain of evidence that directly contradicted her narrative. He wasn't just the director. He was a man who knew how to protect his professional integrity. He waited for the perfect moment to reveal that the footage she thought was gone forever was actually safe in his hands. The public narrative had been so carefully constructed to favor Blake from the very beginning. She positioned herself as a courageous whistleblower, standing up against inappropriate behavior. With the New York Times backing her story and Taylor Swift in her corner, she seemed invincible. The internet was ready to cancel Justin Baldoni into oblivion based on her 30-point list of complaints. She painted him as a predator and herself as the brave survivor of a toxic set. For a few weeks, the court of public opinion had already delivered a guilty verdict against Justin. But as the legal discovery process began, the cracks in that polished diamond began to show for everyone to see. Everything changed when Justin's lead attorney, Brian Friedman, decided to stop playing defense and go on the offensive. Instead of just denying the accusations, he released 10 minutes of raw, unedited footage from a specific dance scene. This was the exact scene Blake's team claimed involved inappropriate conduct and a toxic atmosphere, but the video told a completely different story. It showed a professional, collaborative environment where Justin and Blake were interacting normally. There was no tension, no harassment, and no sign of the villain Blake had described. The unedited footage acted as a mirror, reflecting a reality that the public hadn't been allowed to see until that moment. The most shocking part of the reveal wasn't just the video, but the audio. It turns out Justin had been wearing a hidden body microphone during filming that captured conversations between takes in vivid detail. This wasn't a secret spy gadget, but a standard tool for capturing high-quality sound that ended up becoming his ultimate insurance policy. The recordings caught the two stars chatting, joking, and working through scenes without a hint of the drama Blake later alleged. When those tapes were brought into the legal discussion, the narrative of a predator on set began to dissolve. It's hard to claim someone is making you feel unsafe when the raw audio shows you laughing with them. Ryan Reynolds has spent years building a brand based on being the most likable guy in Hollywood, but the atmosphere in the courtroom was far from lighthearted. Reports suggest his fury was palpable as the legal walls began closing in on the mother of his children. He wasn't just there as a supportive husband, he was watching the meticulously curated Lively Reynolds brand catch fire in real time. Every time a new document was unsealed, it felt like another blow to their collective legacy. The power couple was suddenly facing a reality where charm and connections couldn't override the evidence. The tension was enough to snap a steel cable as the legal strategy crumbled. The most embarrassing blow to Blake's credibility came from a simple digital timestamp. She had claimed she presented a 30-point list of complaints during a meeting on January 4th to warn executives about Justin. It was her primary proof that she had tried to fix things early on. But when Baldoni's lawyers demanded the digital file, the metadata told a devastating story. The document wasn't created in early 2024 at all. In fact, it had been drafted in mid-2025, long after the legal battle had already started. It appeared the entire list of grievances was backdated to fit a narrative that simply didn't exist when the cameras were actually rolling on the film. The discrepancy in the timeline turned what was once a controlled narrative into a legal nightmare. If the list didn't exist when she said it did, then the entire foundation of her whistleblower status was built on a lie. Lawyers began to press for clarity, and the gap between her testimony and the documented record widened by the hour. Each question in the deposition became a landmine. Blake found herself trapped between her public image and the cold reality of forensic data. This wasn't just a PR problem anymore. It was a potential perjury charge. The metadata didn't care about her fame or her friendship with pop stars. It only cared about the date the file was saved. The fallout even reached as far as Taylor Swift's inner circle, dragging the music icon into a mess she never asked for. Allegations surfaced in sworn declarations that pressure was placed on Swift's representatives to issue a public statement of support for Blake. There were even suggestions that private material could be released if that support wasn't granted. Swift's team reportedly moved quickly to distance the singer from the entire controversy, wanting no part of the legal drama. It was a clear sign that Blake's usual support system was starting to retreat as the evidence became too heavy to ignore. Even the strongest friendships have limits when legal documents start flying. As the pressure mounted, the internal communications at Sony revealed just how deep the panic went. Marketing executives were caught in the middle of a war between their lead actress and their director. The emails showed a studio trying to appease a major star while realizing that her requests were crossing legal and ethical lines. Ange Gianetti's refusal to follow through with the destruction of the dailies was the turning point that saved the truth. If she had deleted those files, the case might have boiled down to a she-said-he-said battle. Instead, her hesitation preserved the evidence that would eventually force a resolution that no one saw coming at the start. The legal strategy employed by Justin's team was one of extreme patience. They allowed Blake to make her claims publicly, letting her lock herself into a specific story before they pulled the rug out from under her. By waiting for her to testify under oath before revealing the existence of the backups and the body mic audio, they caught her in a position where she couldn't backtrack. It was a masterclass in litigation that turned the hunter into the hunted. Justin didn't need to win the war of words in the tabloids. He just needed to win the war of facts in the courtroom. He let the footage do the talking, and the footage was screaming the truth. The tension between the stars wasn't just about creative differences. It was a total clash of egos and power dynamics. Blake was used to having a high degree of control over her projects, often with Ryan Reynolds providing creative input from the sidelines. But Justin Baldoni was the director, and he had a specific vision for the film that didn't always align with Blake's desires. When he wouldn't bend to her will, the conflict turned personal. What started as a disagreement over an edit evolved into a full-scale legal assault designed to end Justin's career. She tried to use her influence to crush him, but she underestimated his resolve and his record-keeping. The financial stakes were massive, with millions of dollars and future career opportunities hanging in the balance. Sony was looking at a potential disaster for one of their biggest releases, and the legal fees were skyrocketing. But for Justin, it was about more than money. It was about his name. He refused to be another victim of a celebrity takedown. By holding on to those dailies, he ensured that he had a shield against any lie. The fact that Blake was so desperate to have them destroyed only proved how dangerous they were to her version of events. In Hollywood, what you try to hide is always more important than what you choose to show. The deposition transcripts reveal a woman who was increasingly frustrated by the line of questioning. Blake's answers became shorter and more defensive as the lawyers circled the issue of the deleted footage. She was being asked to explain why she wanted the dailies gone if there was nothing to hide. Her inability to provide a logical reason beyond privacy concerns, which the studio execs already debunked, left her in a corner. There were no intimate scenes or sensitive moments that justified such a request. It was a move that looked guilty to anyone with common sense, and in a courtroom, common sense is often the most powerful tool a lawyer has. Ryan Reynolds' involvement behind the scenes was also scrutinized during the proceedings. While he wasn't a defendant, his influence over the production and the marketing was well documented. Some claims suggested he was the one pushing for the edits that Justin resisted. This added another layer of complexity to the feud, turning it into a battle between a solo director and a Hollywood power couple. The court documents hinted at a power struggle, where the lines between personal and professional were blurred beyond recognition. It wasn't just about a movie anymore. It was about who really runs the show when the cameras stop rolling on a major studio set. In a desperate attempt to regain control, Blake's team tried to challenge the authenticity of the hidden mic recordings. They argued that Justin had no right to record private conversations, but the legal team countered that on a film set, there is no reasonable expectation of privacy while wearing production equipment. The recordings were deemed admissible, and they became the final nail in the coffin for the harassment claims. You can't argue with a voice recording that shows a collaborative and respectful working relationship. The technology that Blake likely never thought twice about ended up being the very thing that saved Justin's reputation from total destruction. By the time May 2026 rolled around, the writing was on the wall. A full trial would have meant weeks of headline-grabbing testimony and the public release of even more damaging footage. Blake's team knew they couldn't win a battle against the metadata and the raw video. A settlement was reached, ending the legal battle before a jury could deliver a final verdict. While the terms were kept confidential, the outcome spoke volumes. Justin walked away with his head high, and Blake avoided a public trial that would have likely ended in a perjury scandal. It was a quiet end to the loudest celebrity feud in years, but the damage was already done. The aftermath of the case left the industry divided and the public questioning everything they thought they knew about their favorite stars. The golden couple of Ryan and Blake saw their favorability ratings dip as the details of the deleted footage and backdated documents leaked out. It served as a cautionary tale for any celebrity who thinks they can manufacture a narrative to destroy a colleague. In the age of digital footprints, the truth is harder to hide than ever before. Justin Baldoni became an accidental hero for creators who have been bullied by powerful stars, proving that sometimes the director really does have the final say when it matters. Even though the lawsuit is over, the impact on future productions is significant. Studios are now more aware than ever of the importance of preserving dailies and maintaining strict digital records. The attempt to destroy evidence has led to new protocols at Sony and beyond, ensuring that no actor, no matter how famous, can dictate the deletion of raw footage. It's a win for transparency in an industry that is often shrouded in secrets. Justin's foresight to keep his own backups changed the game for everyone involved. He didn't just save his own career, he protected the integrity of the filmmaking process itself against those who would try to rewrite it. This wasn't just a legal battle between two actors, it was a collision between old-school star power and the undeniable trail of digital evidence. Blake Lively tried to control the story using the same Hollywood playbook that has worked for decades, but she forgot that in the modern era, the truth lives in the metadata. Justin Baldoni didn't need to shout to be heard. He just needed to wait for the right moment to hit play on the evidence he had protected. As the dust settles, the industry is left with a haunting question about who we can really trust. The era of the untouchable A-lister might have just ended in that courtroom, one frame at a time.